Hello aspirants, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that's both fascinating and crucial for your UPSC preparation. Part 17 of the Indian Constitution. This part deals with the official language of the Union, and it is spread across Articles 343 to 351. It is a section that reflects India's incredible linguistic diversity and the Constituent Assembly's efforts to forge a path of unity. So, grab your notebooks, and let's break it down, chapter by chapter. Part 17 is divided into 4 chapters. Chapter 1 covers the language of the Union. Chapter 2 deals with regional languages. Chapter 3 is about the language of the judiciary and texts of laws. And finally, Chapter 4 contains special directives. It sounds like a lot, but don't worry, we'll go through it. Let's start with Chapter 1. Language of the Union, covered in Articles 343 and 344. Article 343 is the big one. It declares that the official language of the Union shall be Hindi in the Devanagari script. Simple, right? But here's the catch. For the numerals, the international form of Indian numerals is to be used, not the Devanagari ones. This was a practical decision for uniformity. Now, the constitution makers were realists. They knew that switching from English to Hindi overnight was impossible, especially in 1950. So, Article 343 also included a provision that for a period of 15 years from the commencement of the Constitution, that is, until 1965, the English language would continue to be used for all the official purposes of the Union for which it was being used before. But what happens after those 15 years? This is where it gets interesting. Parliament was given the power to provide for the continued use of English even after 1965 for specified purposes. This led to the enactment of the Official Languages Act of 1963. This act is super important. It stipulated that English may continue to be used in addition to Hindi for all official purposes of the Union and in Parliament. The key word here is However, an amendment in 1967 made the use of English, alongside Hindi, mandatory until non-Hindi speaking states agreed to its discontinuation. This created a bilingual framework for the Union's official work, a system that continues to this day. Now let us move to Article 344. This article provides for the establishment of a commission and a committee of Parliament on official language. The President was required to constitute a commission at the expiration of 5 years, and then again at the expiration of 10 years from the commencement of the Constitution. The first Official Language Commission was appointed in 1955 under the chairmanship of B.J. Its job was to make recommendations on the progressive use of Hindi, restrictions on the use of English, the language to be used in the judiciary, and the form of numerals. The recommendations of this commission were then to be examined by a parliamentary committee. This committee would consist of 30 members to 20 from the Lok Sabha and 10 from the Rajya Sabha. After examining the report, the committee would report its opinion to the President. This shows a thoughtful, consultative process was envisioned for this sensitive transition. So, to recap Chapter 1, Hindi is the official language, but English continues to be used for official purposes, thanks to the Official Languages Act. This bilingual approach is a cornerstone of our administrative system. Now, let's move on to Chapter 2. Regional Languages, which covers Articles 345 to 347. This chapter is all about recognizing the linguistic diversity at the state level. Article 345 empowers the legislature of a state to adopt any one or more of the languages in use in that state, or Hindi, as the official language or languages for all, or any of the official purposes of that state. This gives states the autonomy to choose their own official language. For example, Tamil Nadu has Tamil, Karnataka has Kannada, and so on. Until a state legislature makes a choice, English continues to be the official language. Article 346 deals with the official language for communication between one state and another, or between a state and the Union. The language for communication would be the one authorized for use in the Union, which is currently English and Hindi. However, if 2 or more states agree that Hindi should be the official language for communication between them, they are free to use it. Article 347 is a special provision that empowers the President. If a substantial proportion of the population of a state desires the use of any language spoken by them to be officially recognized by that state, the President can direct that such language shall also be officially recognized throughout that state or any part of it, for such purposes he may specify. This is a crucial safeguard for linguistic minorities within a state. All right, now for Chapter 3, which is about the language of the judiciary and texts of laws. This is covered in Article 348 and 349. It's a very important area for UPSC, especially for mains. Article 348 states that until Parliament by law otherwise provides, all proceedings in the Supreme Court and in every High Court shall be in the English language. Similarly, the authoritative texts of all bills, acts, ordinances, orders, rules, regulations, and bylaws at both the union and state level must be in English. Now, there's a nuance here. The governor of a state, with the previous consent of the President, can authorize the use of Hindi or any other official language of the state in proceedings in the High Court of that state. However, this does not apply to judgments, decrees, or orders passed by the High Court. Those must still be in English. So, arguments can be made in a regional language in some high courts, but the final judgment will be delivered in English. Furthermore, if a state legislature has prescribed any language other than English for its bills and acts, a translation of the same in the English language published under the authority of the governor shall be deemed to be the authoritative text. This ensures there's a uniform, legally binding version of every law in English. Article 349 contains a special procedure for enacting any law related to language during the initial 15-year period. It basically put a restriction, stating that any bill changing the provisions of Article 348 could not be introduced without the President's prior sanction. And the President wouldn't give sanction without considering the report of the Language Commission and Committee. This was a safeguard to prevent hasty changes. So, the key takeaway from Chapter 3 is the preeminence of English in the higher judiciary. And as the language of authoritative legal texts, this is primarily for ensuring uniformity, clarity, and consistency in the legal system across the country. Finally, we arrive at Chapter 4, Special Directives. This includes Articles 350, 350A, 350B, and 351. These are beautiful articles that showcase the Constitution's commitment to linguistic rights and promotion of languages. Article 350 gives every person the right to submit a representation for the redress of any grievance to any officer or authority of the Union or a state in any of the languages used in the Union or in the state. You can write a petition in your own language. This is a fundamental right for communication with the government. Article 350A is about facilities for instruction in the mother tongue at the primary stage. It directs every state and local authority to provide adequate facilities for instruction in the mother tongue at the primary stage of education to children belonging to linguistic minority groups. The President can issue necessary directions to any state for this purpose. This was added by the 7th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1956. Next, Article 350B, also added by the 7th Amendment, provides for a special officer for linguistic minorities. This officer is to be appointed by the President. Their duty is to investigate all matters relating to the safeguards provided for linguistic minorities under the Constitution and report to the President. These reports are then laid before each House of Parliament. Last but not least, we have Article 351. This article lays down a directive for the development of the Hindi language. It states that it shall be the duty of the Union to promote the spread of the Hindi language, to develop it, so that it may serve as a medium of expression for all the elements of the composite culture of India. It also directs that Hindi should enrich itself by assimilating words from Hindustani and from the other languages of India, specified in the 8th schedule, while drawing its vocabulary primarily from Sanskrit. This article is not about imposing Hindi, but about developing it as a rich, inclusive language that reflects India's composite culture. This is why the 8th schedule of the Constitution is so important. It originally contained 14 languages, and today it has 22 languages. These are the languages from which Hindi is encouraged to draw vocabulary to enrich itself. So, there you have it, a complete breakdown of Part 17 of the Indian Constitution, from establishing Hindi and English as official languages of the Union, to empowering states to choose their own. safeguarding the language of the judiciary, and protecting the rights of linguistic minorities. These articles create a balanced and practical framework. For your UPSC preparation, remember the key articles: the role of the Official Languages Act, the difference between the language of administration and the language of the judiciary, and the special protections for linguistic minorities. This is a classic example of unity in diversity, a principle that is at the very heart of our Constitution. I hope this detailed explanation was helpful. Understanding Part 17 is not just about memorizing articles. It is about appreciating the complex linguistic fabric of our nation and the constitutional wisdom that seeks to weave it all together. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the Indian Constitution. Keep up the great work, and I'll see you in the next video.